What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. My name is David Greenspan, as you know, and I'm welcoming you back to season 4 of the Mindshare podcast. Additional podcasts are available at mindshare101.com and on all the major podcast platforms. This week's episode is sponsored by Kits Keep in Touch Systems and our friends at the Buzz Conference. Now, be sure to mark your calendars and do it right now for Disruption 2022 taking place on September 7th and 8th at the Liberty Grand in Toronto, Canada. This is sure to be another amazing event being put on by The Buzz. Be sure to follow The Buzz on Instagram at The Buzz Conference, and be sure to check them out online, www.thebuzzconference.com. That is exactly where you can get your tickets, along with the latest copy of the Buzz digital magazine. We are proud, as always, to have the Buzz Conference as an ongoing sponsor of the Mindshare podcast. Kits is always with us, as of course. I mean, how could Kits not be with us? But Kits Marketing, if you haven't checked us out yet, be sure to do that. Go over to my site, mindshare101.com, and click on marketing up at the top right corner. This is a very powerful system, including CRM, contact list, marketing, calendar, all the tools that you need to help you get to the next level in your business. Talking about the 7 ways to communicate, talking about building Mindshare, Kits will help you build that Mindshare so that you get more market share. Plus, we just launched a brand new tool for email, which makes it even easier to send a ton of value add content. Great stuff. Make sure you check it out. If you're already a Kits member, we are grateful for you. If you're not yet a Kits member, hey, we're still grateful for you because we know you're going to become one once you check out the system. Mindshare101.com/marketing. Also, as you know, we're on a push to get to 100 reviews on iTunes. If you haven't yet, please go to ratethispodcast.com/mindshare101. If you have already, thank you. Go ahead and leave us a review, rate the show, big 5 stars, tell us how much you love it. Again, as always, we thank you in advance. One more time, that is ratethispodcast.com/mindshare101. We are incredibly grateful if you would take 2 moments to do that. Today's episode is number 192. Over the past 3 generations, their family has built a strong real estate brokerage on the simple premise that it takes a team to build a legacy. The foundations of their brokerage are rooted in the legacy of their grandfather, Percy Fulton, who started the Century 21 Percy Fulton brokerage in 1977, and their father, Claire, who took ownership in 1988. With real estate deep in their blood, they knew being part of the brokerage was inevitable and joined there in 2016. They are dedicated to maintaining a traditional full-service brokerage that helps agents win by positioning them for success in an ever-changing real estate market. Going into its 45th year, they are more focused than ever on providing a superior level of service to both their agents and their customers. And for them, real estate is more than just a family business. It's an opportunity to impact lives and make a significant difference in how the real estate industry operates for the betterment of their agents and the communities they serve. Joining me on this episode of the Mindshare podcast are real estate brokers, mentors, and owners, the Fulton sisters. Caitlin, Carly, Paige, what is going on? Good to see you all.
You too. Hello.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks
Oh
for
my
that
God,
great
welcome
intro.
back. It's nice to have you guys back on the show. I know it's been a while and things just move quickly, but it's always fun to get together.
Good. Yeah.
Always fun. So talk to me. What are we seeing out there right now? We know it's been a crazy change in market. I mean, like, March break came in, the good weather came in, the world opened back. Our country opened back up, kind of, sort of, and everybody decided to go and enjoy life. But we've seen a massive change in the market. What are we seeing? Like, are prices going to continue to come down? What are we thinking? Where are we headed? What's our outlook for the upcoming fall market? What do you guys think?
Nice. I do think prices will still continue to soften a little. I don't personally think it's going to last that long. So each sister might have their own sort of projection. I think by the time fall comes, we get through August, everyone gets their summer fun out of the way. I think things will start to pick up a little. And I don't think it's going to be as crazy it has been as the past 2 years. I think it'll just sort of hopefully be a nice balanced market where people are making lifestyle changes and buying and selling and doing what they need to do in real estate.
Yep.
I'm kind of with you, Carly. I think the good weather, once it starts to taper off and the fall comes back, I think we're going to see things happen. Caitlin, Paige, what are you guys thinking?
Yeah, I agree. I think right now people are pretty quiet. I don't know if it's because travel's back or all that, but we're noticing a lot of people traveling, so clients have been a little bit quiet. But even in the past week, though, we have seen some pickup a little bit. And I don't know if that's because some sellers are pulling back. So maybe the inventory is kind of going back a little bit. So the buyers are now competing a little bit. But like Carly said, the prices are going down a bit, but I don't see it lasting too long.
Interesting.
Yeah, I would agree with both of that. I think summer is naturally a little bit slower for everybody. Realtors, everyone's kind of enjoying vacation. It's kind of our first summer without restrictions. So I think people are getting their travel bug kind of out of the way. And then once fall comes around, then I think maybe like a little uptick, but just like Harley said, more balanced.
When I agree with you, I don't think we're in a bad market whatsoever. And I think for anybody that thinks it's a bad market, the market's crashing, they're completely wrong. I mean, when we look at it, prices are starting to level back out to where they were just 12 months ago.
Yep.
And we know that 12 months ago, they were still way up from where they were, let's say 24 and 36 months ago. So we're still in a great spot. There's still a ton of equity that people have in their properties.
Yep.
And just like, as we just said, I think with the good weather, that's really you can add on inflation and the gas prices and whatnot, but I really believe it's people just going, finally, I can go out and do something.
Mhm.
That's where the focus is as we get back to the fall. I think we're going to start to see things just level out to where they need to be,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
that's a good thing for both buyers and sellers, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I think the expectations are settled now too. Like for a while, we kind of had to educate a lot of our sellers on what we were previously seeing in like January to March and the insanity that we saw. And then the sellers that were coming in April, May just couldn't wrap their heads around the fact that they weren't making what their neighbors were. So the conversations are getting easier with both the buyers and the sellers. So that's been a nice change as well.
I think to add on to that too, I think for everybody tuned in, as you're talking to sellers right now, make sure you've got a contingency plan. So you talk about what the pricing looks like, discuss your pricing strategies, agree on what that is, but let them know market is changing. There's a possibility we should revisit this together in 7 and 14 days and talk about the traffic we've had and everything else, and just prep them for that, right? Because I think that they've got some unreal expectations that like they're going to get money, for their house that it was back in February, which we just know it's not reality at this point, right?
Yeah, we got a couple plan A's and plan B's now, and even plan C's, and that's just the conversations that we're having now at the table. So I think they're coming to terms now with the way it is, and the plans have changed. Where now you have to sell first and then buy, whereas but in the past we were buying first and then selling. So everything's just shifted a little bit in what the plan is.
Right. And I mean, part of that too now is building out that rapport, building out that trust, building on those relationships, and making sure that your people know where you are and the fact that you are there so that when they are ready, they know where to go. And I mean, look, the three of you together collectively have built a very reputable brand for your real estate business, which has obviously helped you stand out incredibly well. And I mean, I've been just preaching and sort of singing your praises. This is like day one back in the day when I was like, I love this. But I mean, it's helped you guys continue to sort of climb to those new levels. And I'm wondering, because I'm sure there's a lot of people asking about this, but how did you guys decide on the direction that guys were going, or has this just continued to evolve organically over time? I mean, how did you become comfortable enough to step into who you are today?
Man, I think it's just kind of a work in progress, to be honest. I know we've talked about in the past. We've always had a plan. We come from a very strategic family, so everything's been done on purpose. But we've evolved quite a bit. We've only been in the business for about 6 years, but we've evolved from just being sales representatives. Now we're starting to head towards more ownership, and so our brand's kind of changed as we've gone. And I don't know if it's by accident or if it's been on purpose, but it has been pretty natural feeling, but also a little strategic too.
Yeah, I mean, the Fulton sisters is sort of natural. Like when we became a team 6 years ago and we're trying to figure out like what's going to be our team name, what's our like colors, what's our brand, we quickly realized that none of that stuff really mattered. And at the end of the day, we are the Fulton sisters, and that's how people know us, and that's just who we are. And that's the one thing we've never changed. We're not fussy about logos or colors, like that kind of stuff you wouldn't know, but our brand is the Fulton sisters. Here's what we are, here's what we stand for. And that sort of became organically, even though there was a lot of thought into it.
Yeah, I think we just we've, as naturally as people, you kind of evolve over time. So we've just kind of gone with the flow and evolved together. Just remain your authentic self. So as you change as a person, your business plan might change too.
Yeah.
You guys have definitely heard me say this a million times in the past, but I truly believe that branding is not about your colors and your logo.
Mm-hmm.
Branding is what people remember when they think about you.
That's right.
Right. And I love the way you guys brought that up. And I think it's important for everybody to really tune in and understand that, right? Is that you're out there developing a brand, and sure, you can put a little bit of time and effort and thought maybe into the colors and the logo, but just because you've come up with a color and a logo doesn't mean that all of a sudden you're in business and the entire world is going to understand your brand.
Yeah.
I mean, we see a lot of people who come up with like, you know, they use their like first and last initial, like DG, and this like crazy cursive writing. And it's like, nobody knows what the hell that is. I'm just going to put it out there. Now, I'll just to back that up and say nobody knows what the hell Mindshare is until I make sure that people understand what Mindshare is. Nobody knows the Fulton sisters until people get to know the Fulton sisters.
That's right.
So
Yeah, I dread looking at our logo. Don't even look at our logo.
Tell me, is it like FS in cursive?
It's 3Fs. 3Fs. It was made very early on in our career, and we did like a full branding portfolio. We did the whole thing with the colors, and even our colors have changed. Like our branding, like Century 21 colors changed. So we were originally the older bright yellow color. Now we've switched to tan, but like, yeah, we've realized that our logos and our colors really don't matter.
Mm-hmm.
I think too, and I know you guys know this, but I mean, again, as an onlooker to your brand, when we look at it, it is the fact it's almost more the power of all of you together than it is about the color. Because, and again, for anybody that hasn't, go check out the Fulton sisters on Instagram, and and you guys understand, and I know, and anybody else watching would see it. The color scheme that you guys use, there's not really a color scheme. It's just, but the three of you are there.
Yeah.
There's the brand, right? There it is. So great point that we bring up. Now, as we talk about brand and how you guys kind of continue to evolve with yours, as we all do, what is a legacy brand? How would you guys define legacy brand?
That's a good question.
It's more than just a brand. The legacy is the legacy of what you're trying to sort of communicate and what you're giving back to the community. And our legacy has been around for 45 years. So that was started by our grandfather, and his brand that he wanted to create was very agent centric, and it was all about the agents and how are we going to service agents and how are we going to help agents grow their business. And that was the brand, and that's what we have continued on. Our father continued that, we carry that, and that's sort of the one thing that has stayed consistent. It's just time. Also, 45 years is a long time. It takes time to build a legacy like that as well. So.
Yeah, we've just kind of built on what our families started, and we're just kind of adding our own twist to it a little bit. But yeah, just kind of continuing it.
I guess it would start with just kind of knowing what your core beliefs are, what your core values are, and building based off of that.
And like that being something that sort of came down from your grandfather to your father to you guys, and you try to keep upholding that part of it while still building into, let's call it the new school of. Right. Like just bringing in your own flavor to it. Okay, cool. So then, we're talking about that. I mean, the three of you work together, but I know Dad's there. We talk about family. Is it a challenge working with family?
It's not easy. It's
fun. Yeah. But you think it's harder. You think it's harder.
Yeah, I think we're fortunate because we do get along so well. We travel together, we have fun together, we work together. We're just constantly like around each other. But of course, you're gonna have disagreements, and you just have to know that this is your business at the end of the day. So you kind of have to put your personal issues aside and be professional, and just kind of respect each other. Yeah, but we are
a board. We're a board of directors. There's 5 to 6 members of that board. If we have a decision that we don't agree on, we vote and we go with the majority, as if that's what the board would do. That's what we do. So it makes it sort of easy to make decisions that way. We don't all always agree. For sure we don't, especially with our father and with each other. Like there are disagreements and different ways of thinking. And in the end, it all comes down together because we vote, and we just have to agree with, whatever that vote is. It is what it is. So you have to understand each other. You have to understand your stress reactions, how people work, what motivates people. And we've done a lot of work in the past 6 years to come up with that. Thankfully, because of my HR background, I knew how to navigate that a little. But it takes a lot of work and digging and a lot of transparency and being open to conflict and, things like that. So it is a lot of work, and it's very sort of careful and strategic. It's not just like going with it and figuring it out. We have spent a lot of time to figure that stuff out.
And it's not like the TV shows. We're not like yelling at each other behind the scenes or anything. There's no major meltdowns or crying or anything like that. We're pretty business-minded people. We keep business and personal
The saying
personal.
that Claire will say is, "I bet you a nickel you're wrong. I'll bet you,
Yeah.
it's really only a nickel at stake, but I'll bet
Did
you a
tell them
nickel
about
you're wrong." Or
inflation? Hey,
I will
does
say
Claire know
that
about
is
inflation?
Yes, I will say that is one of the challenges because he's been around the business for so long, and because we're fairly new, we're still like, we think this is like a new innovative idea. And he goes, "Oh, I tried that already." So
good luck.
but we just add different spins to it and just have open discussions and talk it out.
Yeah.
So there's a big point though, right? Is everybody having sort of a difference of opinion on how things should be done and then how to deal with it? I love what you said there about operating like a board of directors where it's almost like majority rules.
Mhm.
So if you sit back and realize like you've lost this battle, do you guys just typically accept that and sort of go, hey, like that's all good? Like that's just
we
okay.
go
I
straight
got
to the execution, straight to the plan, whatever was decided, and then we move forward with that. And if that doesn't work and we need to pivot, then we will go back. But yeah, everyone's very accepting of the fact that, like, okay, this was not my battle. I'm going to go with the flow on this one. So
Yeah, see, that's and then we've got a question here from our Mindshare masters that they're just curious about. Are the deals shared equally with each of you guys, like the three of you, let's say, like, and again, obviously not to get into nitty gritty specifics on how you actually do your biz, but in terms of, divvying up the payments with other team members, and do you guys just kind of like, and again, I don't want to get into like percentages and
yeah, we don't
specifics,
mind.
but is it?
No, we can.
We don't mind sharing.
Yeah.
Helpful for
I'd say
people.
we've evolved, to be honest. The beginning of it started off with Paige and I for a bit. Carly came in a little bit after, but we've evolved. It was definitely more fights at the beginning, like who's going to share. And our dad had to sit us down and be like, hey, you guys got to work this out. But yeah, like we've got different friends, which we do on our own. Our in-laws, like our other husbands' families and all of that, we do on our own. But as we get more into the business, we do share a lot more deals, referrals, things like that, sign calls, all of that we share. But we've also evolved into a team now. So now we've got people, we don't even work with buyers anymore. So now we work out deals with our own agents where we're getting them to help us out a little bit. But for the most, I don't know, it's kind of all over the place. It's a per deal decision if it's going to be shared between all of us or if it's going to be a one person show.
Yeah, when we first started, we were all about like our individual brand. Like I had my own business cards and my own for sale sign, but then we also had Fulton Sisters cards and Fulton Sisters signs. And after that first year, it was getting like really confusing because we were branding together, but we were very like greedy. Like, this is my friend, I want it. Now we're a little bit more open. Like if I've got a bunch of listings and I need help on something, I will enlist in the Fulton Sisters and we will split that equally and we'll market it together. But it sort of depends on what's going on in our world. How many deals are we working on? How do we get that client? Is it a shared family client? Is it online random? Is it social media? Is it your best friend? Those factors go into it. And those things are documented. We have that stuff written out. So we can kind of have an idea of what we're sharing and what we're not.
Mm-hmm. I will say too, we struggle a little bit too about, because I guess to answer the question, we do, if it's our listing, we share it equally 3 ways. And then we did struggle with like, well, what if I'm doing more work than this person? I'm doing more work than this person. And there are some instances where like one person will do pretty much all the work, but we all get paid the same. But you just have to understand on the next deal, it might be totally different. So there's a lead for each deal. Typically one person will take the lead for communication with the client and organizing everything. One person will take the lead with the agents and discussing negotiations with the agents. Another one will take a lead with the paperwork. So that's typically how we operate. And then depends on who the person is and who clicks well with them.
Yeah, sometimes it's about personality too. Like who is the main seller or buyer? How do they like to communicate? Which of the sisters will mesh well with that personality? We kind of mesh it with that as well. And sometimes that happens naturally just based on who picks up the phone or the text message. But there is sort of a flow of kind of how it works out. And we're all hard workers, so we all contribute equally, whether it's on one deal or the next deal or in that year span, we're all working the same. So,
that's important stuff right there to be able to have the, sort of that, that agreement with each other, that camaraderie with each other, very importantly, that trust with each other. But hey, what do they say? The power of 3, I don't even know, but there's 3 of you there to support, which is amazing. But it's interesting to see the way the dynamic works. And I think that's, it's very strategic, it seems like. Now, so when we look at that idea of legacy then, right, and carrying on, sort of passing the torch or carrying the torch, think about our audience that's tuned in right now. If somebody tuned in right now was looking to pass the torch or even accept the torch from a family member, what's the trick to making a smooth transition?
I would say what's worked for us, our father enlisted a third-party person to help us out. So we have a business coach or business consultant. who got with us a year before we got into the industry even. So we were all working our other regular jobs. And we still use him today. And so we meet with him every 2 weeks. And it's nice to have that other person outside of the family kind of helping make decisions as well. And I think that's probably been the biggest tip we could say. Like, and I wouldn't push the kids into it. Our dad actually tried to keep us out of the industry. It was our decision to come in. It wasn't his. And just having that outside person making sure that we were ready for it, really helped.
Yeah, but it takes a lot of planning. It's not just something that you decide one day to like, let's just like try it out and like see what happens. Like you really have to think about it thoughtfully and thoroughly and get that outside help, because you sort of need that unbiased person to give you direct and honest advice. Like he was really going to tell us if we're competent or not. Thankfully, we were all competent enough to do it and we all got his blessing, but there was a chance that one of us or none of us would have. So we needed to go through that process.
Yeah. I think the main thing is the second or third, whatever generation it is, they have to want it. So this consultant, like Caitlin said, we met with before we all quit our jobs just to make sure that they knew what we were getting into before we made this kind of our full-time thing. And we wanted it. It wasn't like something passed to us where it says, it's time for you to work. It was, we pushed it to kind of break down that wall to say, we're ready to get into this business.
Yeah.
Interesting, right? Because I mean, I got to imagine the dynamic of passing that down. Like I know I've been involved in it directly. I've been involved in it as a coach for other people indirectly. And I mean, you look at the dynamics that go on and there's different ways of thinking. And I mean, never mind, that it's like your dad passing down to one of you, it's him moving it along to three of you. He's got his opinion and ways of doing things, which he's obviously proven they work. He's built a very successful business. He's an incredible guy. And again, I've been fortunate to actually know him for many years. But then there's the three of you who are coming in with these brand new ideas, like new ways of doing things that are obviously working as well. Mm-hmm. There's where that friction point could possibly happen of like, how do you manage that? And I think that that's something that's really important for anybody who is looking to, again, bring on their kids or pass the torch to their kids or whatever it is, to understand where that point lies and how I guess everybody's got to kind of give and take a little bit.
Yeah, and we've kind of seen it. Like we've got a lot of second generations in our own company with like the kids coming in or even husbands and wives working together too. Right. And one of the things that we see that happens is we'll see like a successful realtor or successful agent, and then the partner comes in and they want to change everything about the business because they have these brand new big ideas, but they forget that this person's successful because of everything they've been doing. So we always say like, don't fix what's not broken kind of thing. So that's kind of about like us. So our dad's been doing this successful business for over 45 years. And as much as we want to change things, we can't. Like there's things that he's been doing on purpose. He's tested out a lot of it too. So when that younger generation does come, as much as they are older and they've got old school mentality, we have to respect that. That's what's worked. And they kind of have to respect our different ideas too. But I think you don't want to change everything that's been working either. Otherwise, it kind of goes the wrong way, I think.
Mm-hmm. And we've had to learn, it took us 6 years to learn that none of us are our father and none of us will be. And we get the question about who's most like Claire. Well, that's not a fair question because none of us are. We're all individual people with our own experiences and perspectives. And it took us a couple of years because we wanted to be Claire. Like he's amazing, like everyone knows, and we want to be him, but we're not. And we know that this year, and now we get to contribute in our own ways while still respecting everything that he's done, right? So we're all different people. The second generation is different than the third, and everybody's different. So. Yeah.
You guys, you brought up, as I asked the question a few moments ago there about the three of you working together and how you manage things. Forgive me, one of you brought up, like we're married and we all have like our own families. And do your spouses have any say in your real estate business and the operations, the way you guys do them? I mean, from either a time that you spend, and naturally, like any of our spouses are going to be like, hey, put the work down, focus on me or whatever. But like, do they have any say over how you do what you do or in the way your days run?
Yeah, I think we're all very different with our spouses. But for me, that was important when I was picking a partner. I was really young in my 20s, but it was important for me to find someone that was also ambitious and had the same work ethic as me. So I'm pretty lucky that my husband also works quite a bit. I don't have children or anything like that, but he understands it. He comes from a real estate background as well, third generation. So he's never had an issue with my stuff. Carly's got
I'm a little unique. I married a realtor just 2 weeks ago. He's very
That's
involved.
Right. Congrats. Yeah.
He's our buyer's agent. So he definitely helps out the Fulton sisters a lot. He definitely helps with the brokerage. We got together naturally. We're a bit unique because we're both in real estate. He's got his own completely separate team business that we don't touch, but he does help us a lot, and it is sort of aligned with how we deal our day to day. Obviously, I'm in the office a little bit more than he would be, but it's kind of a nice thing to go through because we both understand our worlds and we do really help each other a lot. And we're both growing quite a bit with the Fulton sisters and his, so it's nice.
Cool.
Yeah, I would say mine's a little bit more unique. I have a husband. I have an almost 5-year-old. So at the beginning of the career, it was quite challenging to kind of balance it. But I had my army ready with me. So whenever I had to jump into showings, I had friends take my son. I've had people pick him up from daycare for me because my husband also works a very busy job. But now we've evolved in a career where we have more team members to help us with showings, and it's just a lot more easier to balance our schedule. So I think having someone to support your business and understand that, like, he kind of says, like, every time I have a showing, like, go get that bread. So so just someone that supports the business and understands your passion for it's important.
Yeah. And I think that's really important for anybody that's getting in, especially in this type of industry, especially for women. Our dad says there's a 90% divorce rate for women in real estate for whatever reason. But for us, it's very important to have spouses that support everything and can handle our schedules and be okay with it too. And sometimes the roles may be reversed in the future at some point, but yeah.
It's, you know what, I remember growing up in this game. My father was a broker owner for the first 20 years of my life. And I remember the time it took, you know, evenings and weekends and everything else. And so it's definitely important to have a spouse that does support, that does understand the demands of this business, that can be there in the background with you, support you in every way possible, and then help you sort of come back down to earth when that's needed as well, right? Keep you nice and grounded.
That's right.
Now, for everybody that's out there, and again, people tuned in as we talk about the brand, we talk about the legacy brand, we talk about the transition. Anybody who's tuned in now, thinking about their own brand, because a lot of people, I think, and we've actually just said it here, like, is this our brand? Well, it is today. I mean, where does it go tomorrow? Well, we'll see tomorrow. It's going to continue to evolve because we are that driven. There are a lot of people, though, that do sit back and think, how do I figure out my brand? How do I figure out who I am? So how can other people figure out what their brand is and what should help them kind of get to their next level? And maybe like the simplicities of it, because I think it takes, like we said, time to evolve. But what are some starting points right now that you would just suggest to people, like, hey, here's kind of what I did, or here's what we did?
I think the first thing, think about like the kind of energy you want to bring. So Paige brought it up earlier where you kind of have to think about your core beliefs and your values, but what's like the energy? Like, do you want people to feel happy? Do you want people to feel like serious and educated? Or like, what's the energy you want them to feel? And then sort of jot down like just bullet points of like other things that you believe in. Like you make sure you provide excellent customer service. Okay, well, that's part of it. And what are your other beliefs? Just write them down and they will sort of form naturally. As long as you're aligning to those things and your social media is aligned to it, that brand will come about. That people will feel what you're talking about. They'll sort of understand it. I would just start off by like listing some things that you believe in.
Yeah. And I will say, like, we've tested a lot. We always cringe because we did have a very weird time in our lives. I think during COVID, we got weird. We were trying to be funny because there's a lot of funny realtors out there now and doing these crazy videos. So we're like, okay, now we got to be funny. So like we did get caught up in trying to be something we weren't. So if you go back to probably 2020, we were doing these weird videos that were getting us attention, but they were exhausting. Like we were so tired.
That wasn't true to ourselves. We're not that funny. Someone asked.
Hold on, we got to ask that one then, because somebody asked that in the chat. Who is the funniest sister?
I don't know. We're all kind of weird in our own way.
Us together, we think we're pretty funny, but I think to like the outside world, we're not that funny.
Yeah, I say my answer to that was like none of us are funny.
Like definitely our dad here is way more witty. He's got these like one-liner responses. Like I don't know where they come from. None of us have this skill, but I don't really think any of us.
No, I think we're quirky. We're weird around each other for sure. But that was an important lesson to us when we were talking about our brand and being on social media. Like there's a lot of agents doing different things that are working for them, and you can try to be everything. But we learned very quickly that we are not those funny humor realtors, and we're starting to come into our own skin now. I think we are more serious, business-oriented people, but we do have a really fun side too. Like we got ravers here, and like we do like to have some fun, but we're not like those like humorous people on stage telling jokes or anything like that.
You know what? I think we saw so much of that. That's like TikTok brought that on for most
Yes.
people, right? And then Reels obviously like follow suit right after that. But I think the TikTok world has provided that as an avenue for people to do. And a lot of people, and you just brought it up, like how exhausting it is to actually do these videos and everything else. Like, I don't think people realize the amount of time it actually takes and effort to put into like creating these little short 30, 60-second videos when you get into like the depths of trying to recreate this like trending video or this other thing or use that viral sound. I mean, I don't know. Look, again, if you're this funny, happy-go-lucky, weirded out type of person who's just like people know you like that, then go do your thing. Much the same. I love the fact that you guys brought that up and like that evolution where you're continuing to find yourself. For anybody there, like, you know, please don't think that when you got to get on TikTok or you've got to get on Reels or you got to do video, that what we're telling you to do is these funny, weird videos. You do not need to be the dancing realtor. You don't need to do these things. You just, but be there, right? Be there and find your voice when you are there.
Yeah, or try it. Just try and see. Like, we tried and we really were consistent with it, and then we just weren't feeling it. So it's okay to try to step out and see if it works. If it doesn't work, it's okay too. So
it's funny because people were liking it, and I think those were some of our biggest videos was then. But like just because our energy was so drained, and like people would come up to us and like talk about these videos, we're like, but it's not really us. So like it was just draining trying to keep up that persona. And even to this day, like coming up with content is still hard, and getting in front of the video is hard. And
we did a poll yesterday. You did a poll about what people want to see, and 35% of people said house tours.
I know.
That's what you want to see. It's like not even what we want to do, but
for real.
House tours. Like, people really want to see the Scarborough like grandma houses that were.
So here, let me ask you this thing, because we've seen, as we talk about all this stuff, we've seen a change in what's trending in the world of real estate, like in an overall, right? I mean, definitely out there, like just in social media land, but more specifically, it used to be that referrals were literally the gold. Like, we talk about referrals, like referrals, this is what you want referrals. Now everybody turns and it's like, I've got to find leads. And lead seems to be that golden word, and it could be argued. You could say they're one and the same, but like, do you think that either is more important than the other? And if you had to choose, which would you prefer more of?
Referrals. Yeah.
That's for us, though, with referrals, yes.
Yeah.
You know what, Carly? That's all three of you. That's four of us, because I'm going to include that. And I'm going to say that every single person we ask is going to say the exact same thing. So the question becomes then, why is the word leads and lead gen the bright, shiny object in this industry?
Some people do very well with leads. Like, I'm wearing a Soon Homes, representing one of our teams, Soon Homes. He actually doesn't deal with a lot of referrals. They deal with a lot of leads, but they know how to do it very well. They know how to communicate with them. They know how to talk to them. They know how to convert them into referrals. So for this particular team, leads is their goal, and that's what works, and that's what they focus on. For us as Fulton sisters, we're not very good at talking to strangers and converting them and convincing them to work with us. So we really value our referral business a lot, but I think it depends on you as an agent, what you're good at and what you can bring to the table. Everyone's different.
Well, I think leads is also a big thing too, because agents can be lazy, and prospecting and building a referral network does require a lot of work. So these lead generation companies are making quite a bit of money off of agents because they're going to do the work that they don't want to do. So it's a big buzzword to promise these leads. And it's something I get calls all the time from brand new agents asking, do we provide leads? Do we provide leads? And I'm like, no. Well, like, we do, like, we've got lead programs, but it's not something I want to like promise that you're going to make a great business out of. Like, we've got some lead programs and some of our agents have converted them out of luck, but it's not something that's a very predictable business either. But it is a buzzword.
You don't know how to work them both, and you need your process, and you need to know how to work with it.
Yeah. There's lots of brokerages out there though that do offer that, and they do very well with hiring new agents, but then it's a big letdown for those agents that join them. They see the quality of leads, and then they end up joining a more traditional or legacy brokerage like us, because we're teaching them a different type of way to find clients once they realize that those online leads is like a whole other ball game.
Yeah. Some people don't like their friends and family too. They'd rather just work with strangers that they don't know, do the deal, move on. We don't work like that, but it depends on you as an agent.
Yeah, but the thing becomes this then, right? Like, when you really look at it, first of all, I'm going to say it straight, and I don't care. Anybody could drop their jaw on the ground as I say this, but I think you're just, not you three, and I'm just talking anybody though. I think it's just a lazy cop-out. Okay, I really do. Like I'm going to call it right there, and anybody can argue me, no problem. I'm open for the conversation all day long. It's a lazy cop out. Here's the deal: you can get the lead. You could have prospected for the lead, but you didn't want to. You're lazy. The second thing becomes, even if you said, I'm not lazy, but I figure I'll just pay these guys for it, fine. So my next question becomes, what are you doing to convert? In fact, sorry, what are you doing to follow up? Because Carly, you just said you need the process. So you can't be lazy at that because nobody's doing that for you.
That's right.
Then if you're going to follow up, what are you doing to convert? And are you converting? And then the question becomes, once you convert, do you not want referrals after the fact so you don't have to work as hard and spend as much money? Like, hello.
Yeah.
To me, it makes zero sense. It's brand new agents that are coming and asking for these things. Don't get me wrong. As you just mentioned with the hoodie that you're wearing, there are some people that just know how to work this stuff. And to them, hey, all the power to you.
Yeah.
I would still sit back and say that they're spending a ton of money trying to get the leads. Second of all, when they get down the road, are they still going to want to spend all that money and work as hard to chase leads? Or wouldn't it just be nice if your referral system just started feeding you?
Yeah.
Right? I don't know. To me, it's just been like, I come from that old school. I know you guys do too, like with our dads in the biz and all that. Like we know that referrals are the gold. And when we talk to top-notch agents, the three of you said it, I'll say it. And we know that 10 out of 10 top producing agents will always tell us referrals instead of leads.
100%.
Yet for some reason we got this hype about leads. So I wanted to bring that up and just get there with you guys. But
I think you made a really good point too about feeding you for the future, because that's something that we train a lot too, is creating a business that you can pass on to someone else. And if someone else can't replicate that online lead generation system that you can, then it's hard to pass on. So that's a really
great
good
point. Talk about legacy brand, right?
Legacy brand. Yeah.
There it is. I mean, here, how much easier would it be if like you're building up your contact list, you're building up a great referral base, you bring in, your child or whoever, and you say, look, I built you a business. Here's the book. I'm going to introduce you to everybody. I'll help you, but you're going to have to fly a little bit on your own. But like, you've got the business.
Yeah.
We've just built it.
Yeah. That's a hard thing for a lot of agents to hear from us too, because they'll ask us about leads. And if we provide them, and I'm like, no, like we don't, but I'll teach you how to build a business. But it's a long-term thing. And a lot of agents don't like long-term. They want quick results and all that. Thankfully, our father hasn't done it. Yeah.
Those agents that are looking for the quick fix, they're not going to be lasting very long term in this business anyways.
No.
Like you can't sustain it, right? And like I know there's lead gen systems out there. Yeah. Oh yeah, people are spending $500 a month, and I'm thinking $500 a month for the lead gen system. No way. I'm hearing the stuff. You got to be $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000. Yeah. And I, just like you guys, work with a ton of agents. Most agents haven't got $5,000 to spend on online leads. No. And then I still wonder, who are all these random people going online to find some random realtor when we all know people anyways?
Yep.
Anyhow, I could go off on that for 60 minutes on my own. You guys all know that. So I digress. Marketing trends. What are you guys finding that's working? And again, sort of more high level at the moment, but to get the message out there, do you guys have a favorite channel that you guys are using? Email, social media, both?
Yeah.
Talk to me about marketing trends for a moment.
I would say we've got 3 pillars. Social media is our big one. Instagram for sure. We're dabbling into TikTok, but we haven't really.
Okay.
We haven't seen anything from it yet. But Instagram's our biggest, and Facebook actually. And then networking events. So real estate referrals is huge. So we're looking forward to getting back into all of those. But with networking with agents, including on social media. So we get a lot of referrals from outside agents to our social media, and then just our sphere of influence. Of course, those are the 3, and that's done through like our email marketing and just staying in touch, CMA check-ins. Those are our big ones, and those aren't anything new or exciting. They're very traditional, old school probably at this point, but I think it's still the way that works.
And we still do like auto newsletters. We're not creating the content. They're on a drip thing. Our older clients love them. They read them. They respond to us. Those things still work, and those work for us in the background. We get a person, we add them in. That's literally all we do, and people respond, and we can track kind of who's opening them. The younger guys are not reading it, but they see your name, there. So we're doing all old school things. It's working.
Yeah. I don't know if it's new. I don't know. Is it like Instagram Reels or like video?
Wow, listen, you could say Instagram notes. Like, I don't know, the whole notes feature on Instagram now. Like, you know what I mean? But it's crazy. I mean, we talk about the 7 ways to communicate.
Yeah.
In person, by phone, text message. Still using all of them. You love the networking, you said, right? We got the newsletters, we got the emails, we got the social, and we got our website.
Yeah.
there's not other ways to get out there. Like, that's what it is.
Yeah, nothing special.
And as long as people are using all of them, I truly believe that people are going to get more opportunities.
Yeah.
Right
The
now,
recent thing we just did was our CMAs. So with our brokerage and with our own team, the challenge was 100 CMAs. So we did all of our CMA check-ins with all of our past clients, and they respond to those. They like the information. It's a little personal. We do write our own note to it. They get a link to all their comparables, and we do that twice a year. So.
you know, it's amazing how powerful those CMAs are. Like, you think about it, you go ahead and you actually send to somebody this year what your house is worth, next year what their house is worth. They may not say anything to you. 4 years later, they might be like, hey, I've been getting these things for 4 years. My house continues to climb. I am ready to do something.
Yeah.
How easy was that?
Yeah. And in the meantime, they're looking at your Instagram to see what you're up to, if you've won any awards, what you're doing. Like, we got a call last week, says, okay, we're ready to list our house. We've been following the Fulton sisters for 3 years. We had never heard of them. They're not even on our drip campaign, nothing. They saw a sign, have our Instagram. And she called and said, can you come over and list our house? We're ready now. Like, so they've been following us. They see what we're up to. They know we're in real estate. They know we're busy. They know we're good at what we do. And they gave us a call.
I think that's a good point too, because I love everyone is very focused on the amount of views, amount of likes that you get on your social media posts, but you may not see this person ever liking your posts. You might not ever see them engaging at all. But but you're always there in their mind and their mindset.
Yeah, and it's not like we've got
Paige, we call that Mindshare, Paige.
Mindshare.
We call that Mindshare.
Yeah, and it's not like we've got like 10, 15,000 plus followers. We only have 5,000 followers, which is over 6 years. Like, that's, I think, a decent amount of people. It's very slow. We're not paying for anybody or anything like that.
Why aren't we paying for it? Should we be paying for followers? Isn't like perception reality? If I have like 10 or 15 or 25,000 followers, aren't I cooler?
No, never mind.
No.
But at the same time, there's lots of people that do have hundreds of thousands of followers, but they're not making money off of real estate. So sometimes the people with, like, we have agents that you won't even find on social media at all, and they're making $2 million a year. So to me, like, the amount of followers isn't really a big deal. It's nice, but it's not necessary.
No, I love what you just brought up there. I love that. Like, it's important to remind people about that, because I think, all jokes aside to what I just said, but we get this perception around, oh, they've got more followers, they must be liked more, they must be cooler, they must be more successful. No, not necessarily. Now, to that then,
growing their Instagram account.
Say it again.
They're just really good at growing their Instagram account in terms of followers, but we want quality followers who want to work with us, engage with us, or, be an agent with us.
Yeah.
You mentioned the social media platforms that you're on. TikTok, you're dabbling in. Instagram, we know you love. I love Instagram. Love is a very strong word. I don't like social media much anymore, as I say this live on Facebook. The other question, as I bring up Facebook, do you guys think Facebook is still a place to be?
Yes.
Okay.
I'd say actually probably about, of the social media like leads, I guess we get, probably about 70% of them are coming from Facebook Messenger. So I like that platform. It is an older environment, but no, even agents message us on that a lot. But I think Facebook's actually a very powerful one.
Okay, cool.
It's a little bit of a different platform, like different content and all that. But if you just share from Instagram to Facebook, it's going to be the same kind of stuff. But no, we use it a lot. Like, our agents were on there for stuff like this. We do all of our live meetings with them. It's how we build a community with our own agents, just on a Facebook platform. We do we had a mortgage Q&A live on there. So I think Facebook's a really good tool to build a community on there with a mass amount of people. Community groups too. Yeah.
Open up some of these social platforms these days. And I know for myself, I just get tired of so much of the repetition of some of the content that goes out there. And I'm definitely guilty of being part of that repetition of content. We put a ton of content out, but the more people I speak to, the more they're using this word toxic when it comes to social media.
Yeah, I can see that.
And I think that, look, for what we've been exposed to from the mainstream media over the past few years, to the amount of time we spend on social media because of even maybe a byproduct of what's happened over the past few years, I think everybody's just so glued to these screens and this massive information coming to us.
Yeah.
Nobody knows what's the truth anymore. Nobody knows what's good, what's bad. I mean, it's crazy. There's a million different opinions out there. And I think that people just get exhausted from going on and seeing some of this stuff sometimes.
Yeah, I've fallen into that burnout mode, especially this year. I I keep seeing so many people do these videos, like I think her name's like Glenda Baker and stuff like that. I'm seeing lots of like these agents doing videos, and it makes you feel like you got to do videos. And then you've got agents giving social media tips, and then you just always feel like you're behind. And yeah, I can see how it gets exhausting, and then some agents just don't want to dabble in it at all. But it's a tiring app.
Katie, how do you deal with that? How do you deal with that mental part? You've just opened up Facebook. You start to look, oh my God, they did a video. They did it. Jesus, like everybody's talking. Hey, sisters, we got to do a video.
Oh yeah.
How do you guys deal with that?
Pretty much.
I do it to these guys all the time.
Yo, come to my
of
office now.
A lot of the time it's me doing it, and I'm like, girls, like I just need some help, but like I can see why they don't want to do it either, because it's annoying. It's not for everybody. It's easy to compare yourself for sure. I definitely get caught up in that a lot, and then you get these other guys that are doing the videos for the agents calling you, being like, hey, I can do all these videos for you, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you know what? Like we have a pretty comfortable business right now without having to do all this high tech stuff. But yeah, it's definitely interesting. I can see the toxic culture behind it. I wouldn't mind if this goes away at some point, to be honest.
That's what I was kind of asking. Like, can we start, like, as an industry, to kick one of them to the curb and sort of like ease up a little bit? Like, you don't have to be in a million places.
No.
It's like the Gary V's of the world, just kind of killing everyone. He's telling everyone to post 3 times a day on TikTok and doing all this. And sometimes agents will do it and then they see no results from it. And I could see that even being more exhausting by going through all of it and not even seeing a deal come from it. So some agents are losing sight right now, where they're doing all this content, but they're forgetting, like, at the end of the day, we sell houses. Like I'm not making money off of the views on Instagram. I'm not a $2 million person. I watched, there was a Netflix show called The Hype House. I don't know if you've seen that at all, but they're all these like young teenage kids on making money off TikTok. And I realized that's their full-time job. They're posting all day and they get paid by the app. But these kids have such bad mental issues that I'm like, wow, like I don't really care if I'm like a viral person. I'm okay with my 5,000 followers, but we're not making money off of Instagram. I'm making money from selling houses and hiring agents to sell houses. And that's what I have to remember at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So we look at the social media and we look at the challenge of keeping up with the Joneses, right? You know, like that whole mental state of mind. And I think that everybody's got to understand, look, realistically, the more people you ask, the more people are going through the exact same thing as you are. Yeah. And you being like all of us, you being everybody tuned in, you know, everybody's really going through the same thing. They're opening up, you know, the social. They're looking at what others are doing. They're looking at what they're not doing. They're starting to beat themselves up. And this is where, again, an action step that I have for everybody. And my coaching clients know this one fully well. But, you know, social media is not for the morning and it's not for the night. It is for the sort of middle part of your day. Once you are warmed up and ready to attack, ready to, you know, sort of accept any of that stuff that comes at you. Because, again, you've warmed up your day nicely. You're mentally prepared. And at nighttime, you are ready to just say, hey, like, I'm in a good spot. I don't need to open this stuff up. It's not the last thing I'm going to be looking at nighttime. I'm going to be in my own mind.
Yeah.
Looking at those challenges though, what, and that just being a big challenge for many agents, what are some of the other sort of big challenges that agents are facing right now? Like maybe even what are some of your agents coming to you right now? And like, what could people do, you know, sort of with that as the market continues to change?
We're seeing a lot of agents being scared to be productive. Like we hear a lot, like, I'm scared to be broke. Like I'm scared I'm not going to do a deal in the next month. I'm not going to do a deal in the next 6 months. I'm scared that I'm not going to be able to pay my mortgage. And so we have to remind them, you got to go back to your planning, your business plan, and you got to go back to your day-to-day. What are you doing to grow your business? How are you prospecting? Who are you talking to? And you just got to stick with your business plan and your activities every day and not let that fear consume you, because that fear will consume you. You will not pay your mortgage the more you tell yourself you're not going to. It will happen. So you've got to take yourself back to the business and just keep prospecting.
Yeah, I think people need to diversify a lot, especially our younger guys. I think some of our older guys are used to like the traditional ways of finding business too, but they also need to diversify into online. And then our younger guys need to diversify into the old school, and they need to really blend at least a couple different ways of finding business. They can't just rely on TikTok to find them business, but they can't also just rely on going to an empty open house every weekend either. So I think everyone needs to start trying multiple things and not just rely on one. And talking to people is also something that's lacking. Not enough conversations are happening, or not a lot of in-person, face-to-face things are going on. So that's a big thing. But definitely agents are worried about where their next deal is coming from right now.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are worried about that right now. And I would say that, it does go back to, first of all, from a marketing perspective, old school and new school, tactics mixed together. And go and hit the pavement. Like, go talk to people, go network with people. And remember something too, right? And this for everybody tuned in as well, to understand that even if right now you're into the dip, right, which many people are, at summer market, fall market should pick itself back up, whether it does or it doesn't. Number one, what you do when the dip is happening is what sets you up for when the busyness happens, right? So our moment right now is to work on our business. This way, when it's September comes, October comes, at fall market, we're working in our business because of what we created now.
Exactly.
Also keeping to some of those those fundamental processes that we need to have. Right? Making sure that, again, we're doing the things, the IPAs, the income producing activities, on a daily basis, consistency, not worrying about views, not worrying about likes, not worrying about whether we got the deal today, but know that you got through the stuff you needed to do today to hopefully have this success.
Yeah. We gotta switch things up. For the last couple of years, we've been used to people calling us and being like, hey, like, what's happening in the market? And now those conversations aren't coming. So now we just have to be a little bit more proactive and reaching out to people about it.
And primary role of realtor in order to close more deals.
Prospecting.
Okay.
Active prospecting.
Okay. So not just buying leads. Love that page. Keep going.
I think, just like adding value, just building relationships with people and adding value, show that you know what's happening. Especially in a changing market, you need to show them, like, this market doesn't scare you. You know what's happening out there. You've got your plans in place, and you can build your clients' expectations. So,
actually, Kate, you said good thing is this market isn't scary. I think there's a lots of like kind of fear mongering, people call it right now, about the market's crashing. It's a terrible market, but there's always opportunities in every type of market. So depending on that placement, if they're worried about prices going down, then perhaps if they're buying and selling, they're going to buy low and they'll sell low too. So I think we've been in some listing presentations where the competition was talking about how hard it is going to be to sell their house, and you just have to be that positivity for that client.
Yeah, and like, it's not that hard, and people are trying to time the market. We're like, just buy when it's right. Are you having a baby? Are you getting engaged, divorced? Like, what is it a right time for you? Like, you can't time the market. It's just whenever it's right for those people.
You know what? I think for us too, we've got to help determine, like, figure out what their motivation is. Understand if they really got to go. Because if they have to make the move now, but they're like, I'm going to wait, prices. Yeah, well, money's not getting any cheaper either. Right. And so there's give and take in some of that stuff. So as we look at even making the industry a better place, and we look at, and I know that in the bio, we even talked about that, and you guys are very much about that, the betterment of the agents and the communities we serve. Paige, you just touched on that. I think that one of the things we can do, and to any of you, feel free to add on to this, but I think one of the things we can do is continue to spread this message. You both sort of touched on it there, communication and value add. So education and being there, being present, and explaining to people, it's not crashing. This guy's not falling. Right. And I think that that's one of the things that we as an industry can do to help the communities, is just to be that positive conduit of information. What would you guys add on to that in terms of, just the betterment of the agents and the communities we serve?
I just think, don't be scared. Like, I just met with an agent an hour ago. She's preparing for a new listing. They're working on it right now. They're going to list it in August. And she's like, Carly, I'm just so scared. I have this listing and I'm scared. And I said, no, you have to have fun with it. You're an educated agent. It's going to be okay. Message me every day. Message the Fulton sisters. Message your clients. Don't be scared to talk to them and tell them the bad news or the hard news, but still have fun with it. They need your positivity. They are going to sell it. We don't know how much it's going to sell for yet. We don't know the process it's going to take, but don't be scared. Like, and if you are scared, reach out to somebody, reach out to your broker, reach out to the Fulton sisters, reach out to somebody, and let them know you're scared so we can talk it through, because there's so much fear. And I just say, just don't be scared. Have fun with it. It's a good time.
Yeah. The fear is we're no longer like these people bringing in a lot of money for you and this great news, and it's not easy anymore. It's just, now you have to work a little bit harder, or you just have to change things. Now you have to talk to the other agents, and you have to be a nice person to work with, and you have to put a deal together and make sure you got a good team behind you to help you out.
So talk to people and be nice with people, and that should help a lot.
It should.
As simple as it sounds, it really is part of the magic of it all, right?
Yeah. You have to be a really good problem solver in this thing. So working with the cooperating agents, working with your lawyers, working with the mortgage brokers. It's just gonna be all hands on deck for every deal now, and that's just the way it is. And it's kind of nice that way, actually.
It's kind of back to what it should be.
Yes.
People
Doing our
treating each
sales
other
job.
with respect,
Yes.
right? So, ladies, question for each of you. Same question, but I'm curious to hear from each of you. How do you know it's been a successful day for you?
You asked us this last time and we struggled with it. So we should have been thinking about that.
You're still thinking about it.
Oh,
Uh,
a success.
It's a feeling. It's a feeling of, you've gotten through what you wanted to get through that day. For me, it's maybe I helped an agent and they actually did get that deal together, or they did get that person to sign a contract, or it could be one small thing. It could be a combination of a lot of things. But it's a feeling, and we carry it with us to bed. And at the end of the day, and it's you either had a good day or you didn't. So for me, it's a feeling.
Yep. Anything that's getting us to the next level, and not every day is going to feel like a big success or anything like that, but as long as you're making the steps towards where you're trying to go, then that feels good. But yeah, it's a feeling.
Yes, yeah, it's a feeling. If you kind of go into your day with like your task list of what you want to get done. So if you've achieved that, that feels pretty good. If you haven't achieved that, don't kick yourself too much and just try again the next day.
Nice words. None of it involved how much money we make. Still batting 1,000 over here. I love it. The best of the best will never talk about the money when it comes to success, people. Tune into that one. Final words. Anything you guys can share with everybody that's tuned in. We talked about building a legacy brand today. We've added a ton of value around, the idea of brand, legacy brand, of working with your agents and marketing, old school, new school. But anything, just final words, final tips to help everybody get out there and build more mind share so they can get more market share.
I would say don't forget that you're in a sales business. We're in a selling business. We are selling ourselves. We are marketing ourselves. We are selling houses. We are selling people's assets. And learn those skills. Like you didn't need those sales skills last year. You would have needed them 5 years ago or longer. So if you just got into the business, remember you are in a sales business, and there are certain sales skills and scripts and things that you need to know to help close those deals and get more deals. But we're in sales. I think agents forget that. We see it too, and that's my message, I guess.
Yeah, go ahead. I think agents need to start investing into themselves and into their business a lot more now. Go attend some networking events, go join some coaching programs, read some books, read some seminars, talk to experienced brokers that have been doing this for many years, and just stay on top of it. But don't be scared of what's happening, but educate yourself so that you're a little bit more prepared for what's to come.
Mm-hmm. I say if you're kind of sitting there twiddling your thumbs, kind of don't have a poor me attitude. You got to be proactive. You have to have a plan. You have to work hard. And business isn't just going to come to you. You have to try for it.
And there's also lots of business to be had. So maybe that's the last thing. If you're feeling a little bit worried or competitive, or you're not, there is business for everybody. We're a very healthy market here. There's lots of stuff happening, and there is business to go around for everybody.
All of that is very mindset driven. I like that. I like that a lot. I think that some great, some great advice there. Don't forget that you're in sales. Invest in yourself. Don't have a poor me attitude. And there's a lot of business out there. And I think that that's all great stuff. And I think from a mindset perspective, it's important that everybody really internalizes that, because I think that is driving force to what helps us get through every single day. Because again, I'm going to bring it up. I mean, we are going to see people that get the deal over us. We are going to see people that, are doing more than us, that we think are doing better than us. Hey, blinders on, headphones on, stay focused, develop your brain. So feed this thing on a daily basis. Understand that you are in sales. There is competition. You're not going to win every single day. Get the right attitude and good things will happen.
Yep.
I love that. Great advice right off the end there. Thank you. Ladies, thank you. This has been another amazing episode. Always a pleasure having the three of you on, the Fulton sisters, on the Mindshare podcast. So I thank you very, very much for all the insights today and all the time that you guys took to be here with us.
And
Thank you so much for having us.
Thanks for having us. Always a pleasure.
Always. We'll be right back with you three. Please don't go anywhere. To everybody, you are either listening to this on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify. Maybe you're watching us live. Maybe you went to my website, mindshare101.com. And while you're on my site, make sure to download your free copy of the Ultimate Marketing Bundle for Realtors. This is a 31-page ebook packed with a ton of tips and tricks. Plus, there's a ready-to-go 90-day social media content calendar to help you build more mindshare so that you can get more market share. Also, if you want to talk about personalized one-to-one coaching, if you want to talk about an in-person keynote for your next event, if you want to talk about virtual training, any type of mindshare experience, get in touch with our team. We'll set up a free consultation call, learn more about what you're looking to achieve and how we are going to help you do exactly that. Also, don't forget that our push to 100 is on. All you have to do is super easy. Go over to ratethispodcast.com/Mindshare101. We'd be incredibly grateful if you just give us a little review, a big 5 stars. Tell us how much you love the show. And of course, if we haven't yet, connect with me on Facebook at Mindshare101 and on Instagram at David Greenspan 101. I want to once again thank our friend Virginia Munden and the Buzz Conference for sponsoring today's episode. Be sure to visit their website, www.thebuzzconference.com. Follow them on Instagram at the Buzz Conference. Keep tabs on all of the awesome events they are always hosting, along with getting the latest copy of the Buzz Digital Magazine. Of course, do not forget about Disruption 2022, taking place September 7th and 8th at the Liberty Grand in Toronto. Get your tickets. Again, go to www.thebuzzconference.com. Do it in about 2 seconds from now. Get those tickets and we'll see you at the event. Of course, I also want to thank Kids Keep in Touch Systems for sponsoring today's episode. If you haven't checked this out yet, just go to my site, mindshare101.com, and click on marketing. This has been another episode of the Mindshare podcast. Thank you for tuning in.